Have you ever noticed something strange about motivation? The moment you tell people what you plan to do, you feel lighter, happier, almost successful already. But then, somehow, the work feels heavier the next day. This is the story of a man who learned that silence can be more powerful than applause. In a quiet town just outside Portland, Oregon, there lived a man named Ethan Miller. Ethan was not lazy. He was not careless. He was not foolish. In fact, everyone who knew him would say the same thing. Ethan has so much potential. He was 31 years old, tall, thoughtful, and full of ideas. His notebooks were filled with plans, business ideas, fitness goals, creative projects, life transformations. He dreamed of becoming someone people admired, someone who had built something meaningful. But year after year, his life looked the same. Every January, Ethan promised himself, "This will be my year." And every December, he felt the same quiet disappointment, a habit that felt harmless. Ethan loved talking about his goals, not in a bragging way, at least not intentionally. He just liked the feeling of being seen. At coffee shops, he talked about starting an online brand. At family dinners, he explained how he would get in the best shape of his life. At work, he mentioned plans to quit and launch his own business. People listened. People nodded. People encouraged him. "That's amazing, man. You're going places. I can totally see you doing that." Those words felt warm. They filled something empty inside him. That night, he would lie in bed smiling, imagining the future version of himself. Successful, confident, admired. But the next morning, something always felt missing. The vanishing energy. On Monday, Ethan would wake up tired. The fire he felt while talking was gone. The urgency had disappeared. Instead of working on his ideas, he scrolled through his phone. Instead of going to the gym, he told himself, "Tomorrow." Days passed, weeks passed. The dream slowly faded until a new dream replaced it, and the cycle began again. On the moment of quiet shame. One rainy Sunday afternoon, Ethan sat alone in his apartment. Unfinished books lined the shelves. Unused gym equipment collected dust in the corner. Sticky notes with old goals were still stuck to the fridge. He stared at his reflection in the dark window. "Why can't I finish anything?" he whispered. That question followed him everywhere, but he never said it out loud. Deep down, he feared the answer might be something worse than laziness. An unexpected encounter. A week later, Ethan visited a small public library near his apartment. He didn't go there often, but something about the quiet space felt comforting. While wandering between shelves, he noticed an older man sitting at a wooden table. The man looked ordinary, gray hair, calm posture, simple clothes, but there was something steady about him. Ethan accidentally dropped a book near the table. The man looked up and smiled. "Big goals?" the man asked, pointing at the book. Ethan laughed awkwardly. "Yeah, I guess you could say that." The man nodded. "Most people come here with big goals." They spoke for a few minutes, nothing deep at first, just small talk. But before leaving, the man said something strange. "Be careful who you tell your dreams to." Ethan paused. "What do you mean?" The man smiled again, softer this time. "Some things grow better in silence." Then he returned to his book. Ethan walked out of the library feeling unsettled. The seed of a thought. That night, those words stayed with him. Some things grow better in silence. It didn't make sense. Yet, Ethan had always believed motivation came from sharing, from accountability, from external encouragement. So why did he feel weaker after talking? Why did the excitement vanish once others knew? He opened his notebook and stared at a fresh page. For the first time in years, he didn't write a big goal. Instead, he wrote a single sentence. "What if I stop talking and start doing?" A small experiment. Ethan decided to try something different, not a dramatic change, not a public announcement, just a private experiment. He chose a simple goal: wake up early and write for 30 minutes every morning. No social media post, no announcement to friends, no starting Monday speech. He told no one. The first morning was hard. There was no applause waiting, no encouragement, no one checking in, just silence. But something unexpected happened. Because no one knew, there was no pressure, no expectation, no performance. It was just him and the work. The strange comfort of silence. On the third day, Ethan noticed something. He wasn't excited, but he wasn't drained either. The energy felt quieter, steadier. He wrote even when he didn't feel inspired. He showed up even when no one was watching. And strangely, that felt powerful. A shift begins. After a week, Ethan felt different. Not proud, not victorious, but grounded. For the first time, his progress felt real, not imagined. He wanted to tell someone. He wanted to say, "I've been writing every morning." But he remembered the man at the library, and he stayed quiet. The unseen growth days turned into 2 weeks, then 3. The writing improved. His focus sharpened. Something inside him was growing, but slowly, silently, without praise. And that scared him, because if he failed this time, no one would know. No excuses, no explanations, just truth. The test one evening, a friend called him. "So what's new, man? Working on anything exciting?" Ethan opened his mouth. The words were right there, but he paused. For the first time in his life, he chose silence. "Just taking things one day at a time," he said. He hung up the phone feeling nervous and free. Ethan didn't realize it yet, but this choice, this quiet decision, was about to change everything. Because silence doesn't just protect dreams. It reveals who you really are when no one is clapping. And Ethan's real test was only beginning. Silence feels peaceful only at the beginning. After a while, it becomes uncomfortable. For Ethan, the quiet that once felt freeing slowly began to feel heavy. When no one is watching. Weeks passed. Every morning, Ethan woke up before sunrise and wrote. Some days the words flowed. Other days his mind felt empty. But he kept going. No one knew. And that was the problem. There was no praise, no encouragement, no one saying, "Keep going, you're doing great." Just him and the work. One morning, as he stared at the blank page, a thought crept into his mind. What's the point of this if no one even knows? He hated that thought, but it was honest. The old habit returns. That afternoon, Ethan met his friend Jake for lunch. Jake was loud, confident, always talking about his next big move. "I'm thinking about launching a podcast," Jake said proudly. "Haven't started yet, but people are already hyped." Ethan nodded, forcing a smile. Inside, something twisted. Jake looked at him. "So what about you? Still planning something big?" Ethan felt the urge again, the familiar itch, to speak, to be seen, to feel important. He imagined the reaction. "That's awesome. I knew you had it in you. You're so disciplined." His mouth opened, then closed. He took a sip of water instead. "Just focusing on small things," Ethan said quietly. Jake laughed. "You're too quiet these days, man." Ethan smiled, but inside he felt invisible. The cost of staying silent. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. His mind argued with itself. If I talk about it, I'll feel motivated. If I stay silent, I'll feel alone. The silence demanded discipline. Talking required none, and discipline was exhausting. The hidden battle. On day 29, Ethan almost quit, not because he failed, but because he succeeded quietly. There was no celebration for consistency, no reward for showing up alone. He slammed his notebook shut. "Maybe I was wrong," he muttered. "Maybe sharing helps after all." He reached for his phone. His thumb hovered over social media. One post. Just one. That's all it would take to feel alive again. A memory resurfaces. Then he remembered something. A moment from childhood. He was 8 years old, building a treehouse with his father. Every day after school, they worked in silence. No pictures, no announcements. One evening, his father said something Ethan had forgotten until now. "Son, real work doesn't make noise, it leaves results." Ethan put the phone down, choosing the harder path. The next morning, Ethan returned to the page. Not excited, not inspired, committed, and something changed. The writing became sharper, more honest, more raw. He wasn't writing to impress anyone. He was writing to understand himself. Unexpected resistance. 2 months in, people began to notice something different about Ethan. Not his work, his presence. He listened more, spoke less, moved with intention. At work, his manager asked, "Everything okay? You seem focused." Ethan nodded. Everything wasn't easy, but it was real. The first visible result. One night, while reviewing old pages, Ethan realized something shocking. He had written over 20,000 words. Not ideas, not plans, actual work. His hands trembled. This wasn't imagination. This wasn't talk. This existed. The dangerous moment pride crept in quietly. Not loud pride. The subtle kind. The kind that whispers, "You've earned the right to talk now." Ethan felt the urge again, to tell someone, to share progress, to get validation. But something inside him warned, not yet. He closed the notebook and locked it in a drawer. The lonely strength silence had become heavier, but also stronger, like a muscle. The more he carried it, the more capable he felt. Still, doubt remained. What if all this effort leads nowhere? What if no one ever cares? Those questions had no answers, only faith in the process. A quiet turning point. One early morning, as the sun broke through the window, Ethan finished a chapter. He leaned back. For the first time, he didn't want applause. He didn't want approval. He wanted to continue, and that scared him, because it meant he was changing. Ethan didn't know it yet, but the silence had already done its job. It had stripped him of his need to be seen. What came next would test him in ways he never expected. Because silence doesn't just build discipline, it prepares you for temptation, failure, and truth. And Ethan's biggest test was approaching. Silence does not remove temptation. It sharpens it. When the world knocks 3 months had passed, Ethan's mornings were no longer a struggle. Writing had become part of him, like breathing. The pages in his notebook were no longer empty thoughts, but shaped ideas, structured chapters, and honest reflections. But just as his inner world grew stronger, the outer world began to test him. One afternoon, Ethan received an unexpected email. Subject line: "Saw your old posts. Interested in collaboration." It was from a small online media page. Years ago, Ethan had written a few motivational posts and shared them publicly. Someone had found them. The message ended with a sentence that made his heart race. "If you're still working on something similar, we'd love to feature you." This was exactly the kind of opportunity he had once dreamed about, and he hadn't even asked for it. The dangerous thought. Ethan leaned back in his chair. A voice whispered, "See? Talking works. Visibility matters." Another voice answered, "But are you ready?" He hadn't finished the work yet. The foundation was still fragile, but the temptation was powerful. Being seen, being validated, being called talented. A small leak in the silence. That evening, Ethan told one person, just one, his sister. "I've been working on something," he said casually. "Writing, quietly." Her eyes widened. "Why didn't you tell me?" Ethan shrugged. "I wanted to finish first." She smiled. "I'm proud of you." The words hit him harder than he expected. Warmth spread through his chest. That night, he slept deeper than he had in weeks. The subtle shift. The next morning, something was off. Ethan opened his notebook. The page felt heavier, not blank, judging. His sister knew now. Someone was watching, even silently. Expectation had entered the room. He wrote, but slower. edited too much, doubted every sentence. Silence had cracked. The invitation grows louder. The media page followed up. Just checking in, let us know what you're working on. Ethan stared at the screen. If he shared now, people would notice him. If he waited, no one might ever care. Old Ethan would have replied instantly. New Ethan hesitated. The first real failure. 2 days later, Ethan skipped writing. Just one day. He told himself he deserved a break. But breaks without structure quickly become habits. The next day, he wrote less. Then less again. The energy that once felt steady began to flicker. Not because of laziness, because of pressure. The truth about progress. One night, frustrated, Ethan flipped through his old notebooks, pages filled with plans he had abandoned years ago. The difference was clear. Back then, he talked. Now, he worked. But the moment others knew, the moment expectation entered, the weight returned. A quiet realization. Ethan sat in silence and finally understood something painful. It wasn't talking that killed his dreams. It was seeking approval before completion. The silence hadn't been about hiding. It had been about protecting focus. The hard decision. The next morning, Ethan replied to the email. Short, honest. I'm still working privately. When it's ready, I'll reach out. He didn't explain. He didn't promote himself. He closed the laptop. His hands were shaking. He had just walked away from attention, and that felt powerful. Rebuilding the silence. Ethan returned to his routine. Not perfectly, but intentionally. The words came back slowly. Less excitement, more depth. This wasn't performance anymore. This was identity, the moment of collapse. Then life intervened. Ethan's company announced layoffs. Fear flooded in. Writing suddenly felt irresponsible. Shouldn't I focus on something safer? Something that brings immediate results? The old voice returned. If you had told people sooner, you'd have support now. Ethan closed his notebook. For 3 days, he didn't touch it. Silence. This time, felt empty. Standing at the edge. On the 4th day, Ethan stood at a crossroads. One path led back to noise, validation, and fast comfort. The other led forward. Quiet, uncertain, slow. No one could choose for him. No one even knew he was choosing. And that was the point. Ethan didn't realize it yet, but this pause, this moment of doubt, would decide everything. Because silence doesn't guarantee success. It only reveals who you are when things fall apart. And Ethan was about to discover whether his transformation was real, or just another quiet phase. Silence is easy when things are going well. It becomes terrifying when everything feels uncertain. When stability disappears. The layoff rumors became real. One Friday morning, Ethan's manager called him into a small conference room. The conversation was short, polite, professional. By noon, Ethan walked out of the building with a cardboard box in his hands. His job was gone. No backup plan, no announcement, no applause. Just silence. The weight of reality. That night, Ethan sat on the floor of his apartment. The notebook lay on the table. For the first time, it didn't feel like a dream. It felt like a risk. Writing no longer felt poetic or noble. It felt dangerous. Rent, food, time. Reality doesn't care about quiet growth. The voice that returns in crisis. The old voice came back louder than ever. This is what happens when you don't tell people. If others knew, they could help. If you had shared earlier, you wouldn't be alone. Ethan stared at his phone. One post could bring attention. One message could bring sympathy. One announcement could bring comfort. The noise was tempting. The voice that returns in crisis. The old voice came back louder than ever. This is what happens when you don't tell people. If others knew, they could help. If you had shared earlier, you wouldn't be alone. Ethan stared at his phone. One post could bring attention. One message could bring sympathy. One announcement could bring comfort. The noise was tempting. the loneliest strength. But something inside Ethan resisted. Not confidence, not bravery, something deeper, ownership. If he spoke now, it wouldn't be about sharing progress. It would be about escaping discomfort. And he knew that path too well. Working without hope. The next morning, Ethan woke up early. Not motivated, not inspired, just disciplined. He wrote anyway. Not because he believed it would work, but because quitting now would mean he had never changed. The hardest days, weeks passed. Money ran low. Job applications went unanswered. Some mornings Ethan wrote with shaking hands. Some nights he questioned everything. But the silence held. No announcements, no validation, no reassurance, only work. A subtle transformation. Something strange happened during those weeks. Ethan stopped asking, "Will this succeed?" Instead he asked, "Is this who I am?" And the answer, quiet but steady, was yes. The inner shift writing was no longer about proving himself. It became about alignment. Even if no one ever read it, even if it failed, this was real, this was honest, and that honesty brought peace. An unexpected signal. One evening, while revising a chapter, Ethan noticed something. His writing no longer sounded desperate. It didn't ask for approval. It didn't beg to be seen. It stood firm, like someone who knew their worth, even in silence. The world tests him again. Another email arrived. Different sender, bigger platform, short message. "We came across some of your older work. Are you currently writing?" Ethan didn't respond immediately. Not because he was afraid, because he was calm. He knew something now that he hadn't known before. The real power of silence. Silence had changed him, not by hiding him from the world, but by removing his dependence on it. He no longer needed the outcome to validate the effort. Standing strong without results, Ethan continued writing. Not faster, not louder, truer. Each page felt like a brick, not impressive alone, unbreakable together. The question that matters. Late one night, Ethan asked himself a final question. If success never comes, would I still do this? The answer came without hesitation. Yes. And that answer changed everything. Ethan didn't realize it yet, but this was the moment he crossed an invisible line. From someone who chased success, to someone who became the kind of person success eventually finds. But the world still hadn't seen his work, and the most important choice, when and how to reveal it, still lay ahead. Because silence prepares you. But timing decides everything. Endings don't always arrive loudly. Sometimes they arrive as clarity. When nothing is left to prove. Winter had settled over the city. Ethan's days had become simple. Wake up, write, apply for work, repeat. There was no excitement in the routine anymore. And strangely, that felt like peace. He no longer checked his inbox every hour. No longer imagined viral success. No longer rehearsed explanations for people who didn't ask. The work was enough. A different kind of readiness. One morning, Ethan opened his notebook and reached the final page. Not the end of the project, just the end of that notebook. He closed it slowly. There was no rush of pride, no urge to celebrate. Only a quiet awareness, I'm not the same person who started this. Ooh. The right silence breaks. That afternoon, Ethan reread the email from the larger platform. It had been sitting unanswered for weeks. This time, the question inside him felt different. Not, will they like me? But, am I ready to stand behind this? He opened his laptop. He attached a small sample. No explanation, no self-praise, no story, just the work. Then he closed the laptop and went for a walk, waiting. Without anxiety, days passed. Ethan didn't feel nervous. That surprised him. Whatever happened next wouldn't define him. The silence had already done its work. A memory on the bridge. One evening, Ethan stopped on a bridge overlooking the river. Cars passed. Lights flickered. Life moved on, unaware of his inner journey. He realized something quietly powerful. No one owed him attention, and he no longer needed it. The reply. The email came on a Tuesday morning, short, respectful. "We read your work carefully. There's depth here. We'd like to talk, when you're ready." Ethan stared at the screen. His heartbeat stayed calm. This wasn't victory. This was alignment, the unexpected emotion. He didn't shout, didn't call anyone, didn't post. Instead, he sat still and felt something unfamiliar. Gratitude without urgency. Looking back without regret. That night, Ethan thought about all the years he had spent announcing dreams, all the false starts, all the applause that led nowhere. He didn't feel shame anymore. Those versions of him had been necessary. They had taught him what noise costs, what silence gave him. Silence hadn't guaranteed success. It had given him something better: patience, self-respect, integrity, and a work ethic that didn't depend on witnesses. Success, if it came, would meet him as an equal, not as a savior. A new relationship with the world. The next day, Ethan replied, not eagerly, not hesitantly, clearly. He set boundaries, asked questions, moved slowly. For the first time, he wasn't trying to be chosen. He was choosing. The ending mood. Late that evening, Ethan returned to his desk. He opened a fresh notebook. On the first page, he didn't write a goal, he wrote a reminder. Protect the work. Let results speak. Stay quiet until truth is visible. He closed the notebook, turned off the light, and slept deeply. Ethan's story didn't end there, because real transformation doesn't end. It settles. It changes how you walk, how you choose, how you remain steady when no one is watching. And somewhere in the quiet, something real continues to grow.